Hello, divine luminous beings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As many of you know, I've spent a lot of time and energy pointing out what Neo-Advaita is, critiquing it, pointing out the difference between Neo-Advaita and actual Advaita. But it's time to say thank you to Neo-Advaita. Here's why. First and foremost, Neo-Advaita was an introduction to Advaita Vedanta. And for many of us, it was an introduction to Hinduism. So thank you, Neo-Advaita, for introducing us to Ramana Maharshi, for introducing us to Adi Shankara, for introducing us to Hinduism, to Sanatana Dharma. That's the formal name for Hinduism, which means the eternal path or the eternal truth, the eternal way of life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, really, thank you for introducing us to Ramana Maharshi. I mean, what a guy. I mean, this is just a drawing of him. And just looking at it, I get so happy. I wouldn't have heard of Ramana if it weren't for Neo-Advaita. That's not true. I saw a picture of Ramana once, just on a book, and I felt drawn to it, but it was Neo-Advaita that really, really drew me. Like, Neo-Advaita is... Oh my God, I was about to make a really bad joke. I might get in trouble for that one. Neo-Advaita is like a drug dealer, but ultimately we got sick of the dealer and we wanted to find the real deal. And so then eventually we just turned to Ramana or turned to Adi Shankara. Thank you, Neo-Advaita, for teaching us that spiritual teachers are not trustworthy just because they wear a robe or just because they can spout off spiritual sounding things or just because someone else says they're a spiritual teacher. A lot of us fell for that, right? Like one person says, oh, this person's enlightened. And we're like, oh, they're enlightened. But it's like, how would the person who said they're enlightened know unless that person's enlightened too? And normally they're not. Normally they're devotees who are serving, who are just like publicity agents. So thank you, Neo-Advaita, for helping us learn discernment. Any joker can get on YouTube and make videos. Hello? Oh. So there may have been a point in history where someone who claimed to be a spirit, so if someone said, I'm a spiritual teacher, like we could trust that. But those days are long gone, friends. Long gone. We have to be practically detectives at this point. And thank you, Neo-Advaita, for teaching us that. Thank you, Neo-Advaita, for, as they say, coming so close, but yet so far. Let's see, I have a comment. Marion Rose. Beautiful, beautiful, Marion. I'll respond to that in a moment. Thank you. Thank you, Neo-Advaita, for coming so close, but yet so far. So actually, let me say it another way. Thank you, Neo-Advaita, for giving us a taste of God, of moksha, of mukti, of liberation. Thank you for giving us a taste. Like Neo-Advaita, you're the appetizer. You whet our appetite. You got us all salivaing. That's not really a verb, but you got us salivating. Oh, Neo-Advaita, you're so sexy. You got us salivating. And you got us all hot and bothered for enlightenment. Thank you, Neo-Advaita, for being such a good tease. You got us all worked up. You got us all hot and bothered about enlightenment. You got us frisky and randy and lusty for enlightenment. Thank you. But it ended up you were a tease. Like you promised so much, but you couldn't deliver. But that's okay. It was just your job to be a tease. Because the thing is, God, and whether you think of God theistically or non-theistically, is the mover and controller of all things, even Neo-Advaita. Neo-Advaita serves God. It took me a while to figure that out, but once I saw all the blessings, and I was like, holy shit, Neo-Advaita is an instrument of God too. Ah. Thank you, Neo-Advaita, for helping us learn the difference between religion and spirituality. Religion's a belief system. Well, that's complicated. I don't know that it's. Let me sit with that one for a moment. Yes. It's one thing to say, I am consciousness. It's one thing to go around thinking all day, I am consciousness, I am consciousness, I am consciousness. It's another thing to experience it and live it and to be free without having to repeat a mantra. I am consciousness, I am consciousness, I am that, you are that. Thank you, Neo-Advaita, for revealing cookie cutter spirituality. Now, cookie cutter, so basically, like imagine a thing of dough, right? A cookie cutter, it makes the same shape each time. That's one of Neo-Advaita's major faults. It just tries and makes the same thing out of each person. True spirituality meets people where they're at. So thank you, Neo-Advaita, for helping us to come to realize that spirituality is not a formula. Religion is a formula. It just tries to like squeeze people in. Yeah, Marion Rose wrote, some are making Neo-Advaita a religion too. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Neo-Advaita, for helping us learn the difference between a true guru and someone who gives spiritual talks. A true guru is someone like Ramana, who each person, it was an individual interaction where you just meet people where they are. Some people he would tell them to go do a mantra. Some people he would just chit chat. That doesn't make it in the books, but some people he would just talk to them. Some people he would say nothing. In contrast with a cookie cutter, whatever you say at a Neo-Advaita satsang, it's going to get turned into, well, who is it that wants to know, or you are that, or just inquire. It's just a formula. It's just a formula. Anyone can do it. I should have someday I'll have a Neo-Advaita satsang, and I'll play Neo-Advaita Guru, and I'll show you. It's just a word game. So in my case, personally, thank you, Neo-Advaita, for leading me to actual Advaita. I got so sick of Neo-Advaita that I started, studying the Gita again. I started looking at, oh, my alarm's going off. Talk about live TV, 1 second. I started reading the Gita again. I started reading Ramana's Upadesha Saram, and I finally read Adi Shankara, the go figure, the founder of the school. So thank you for getting us high, but not delivering liberation, and then leading us to seek out the real deal. And in my case, thank you so much for leading me to qualified non-duality. I'm not into, once I really came to understand Advaita Vedanta, then I realized it's not my path. And if you Google Vedanta on Wikipedia, what you'll see is there are many, many different schools. Advaita is just one school. And I'm really into Shuddha Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, and Beta Abheda, specifically Achinta Beta Abheda, that honor both duality and non-duality. Non-duality, as it's taught today, is very dualistic. So, and a personal thank you, inspired me to start this channel, which was one of the best things I ever did for myself. And I know it's been supported other people. I know some people hate me in this channel, and I understand. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a Hindu scripture, God says, "I am the false doctrine and the overcoming of the false doctrine." I'm paraphrasing. So this process of meeting untruth and then discovering the truth, it's part of the gig. It's part of the game. Thank you, Neo-Advaita, for leading me to bhakti. I'm a bhakta. I'm not a yana. I want to love God and serve God. That's my path. And I'm having a ball doing it. And yep. So Marion Rose wrote, "Hi, I think enlightenment has to be ongoing." I mean, that's an interesting question, Marion. So Advaita Vedanta disagrees. It talks about liberation or mukti, which ultimately is a final event. But that's one of the reasons I am into Vashishta, Achinta Beda Abheda, or Vashishta Advaita, which are qualified forms of Vedanta, of non-duality. And they say there is a liberation, but that then it's an ongoing journey. And after liberation, that it's much gentler. But that's one of the things I don't like about Advaita Vedanta is it's kind of static. It's it's you attain liberation and then you're just sort of united, and then that's it. Whereas some of these other qualified non-dual schools talk about yes, there is liberation from suffering, and then it's an ongoing journey. Marion wrote, "Yes, there are many freedoms, liberations, etc." I mean, I don't know where you read that. I've never heard anything like that. There's certainly moments, but and this is where thank you, Neo-Advaita, for pushing me to the scriptures. Scriptures do talk about mukti and moksha, which means liberation from suffering, as does Buddhism. Buddhism talks about a permanent end to suffering. Now, again, I haven't experienced it. I'm just relying on the scriptures, and I'm just relying on people I trust, like Ramana, who talk about an end of suffering. So that's what I'm talking about. And that's what the scriptures talk about. Yeah. And yes, on the spiritual journey and as human beings, we have all sorts of little mini moments of finding freedom and finding liberation, but it's not at all, in my understanding, what's talked about in the scriptures or in the Gita. Or, for example, by Ramana. Ramana talks about an end of suffering, as does the Buddha. And so I honor your insight. And this is where things get interesting. This is where, now I feel a little bit like a preacher man, where I'm like, well, the scriptures say. the difference between Eastern, there are, in the scriptures I'm referring to, what they are is more a path or a guide. Like the Gita is, it's not really a narrative. Yes, it has a little bit of a narrative story in the first chapter, but it's really a guide, a spiritual guide. Yeah. She wrote, yes, there may be liberation from suffering, but there may be different levels of enlightenment. There may be. There are different models. There are many different models of what the word enlightenment means in Hinduism. And I just heard one the other day by an actual Swami, meaning like an actual sannyasi, a renunciate priest teacher. And he was talking about the difference between God consciousness and unity consciousness, where God consciousness, there's still, and I may have the terms wrong, so please forgive me if I think it was, yeah. But unity consciousness is more the state of oneness, and God consciousness is more this sense of God in everything and all around us and in us, but still some distinction. So there are many different models. And as I pointed out, there are many, many, many different schools just within Sanatana Dharma, just within Hinduism. Yes. Yes. So, thank you, Neo-Advaita. It's I'm slowly but surely starting to participate in a local Hindu temple, and so thank you, Neo-Advaita, for leading me and hopefully others to actual Hinduism. I'm hanging out at a Hindu temple, starting to participate, getting to know the Swami there. Again, a Swami is an actual renunciate priest teacher in an actual lineage. And I feel very blessed. He seems to be a very awake soul. And let's face it, the 21st century is like, it'll be known for many things, but it's the century of bullshit spirituality, right? Everyone here is interested in spirituality. You wouldn't be on this channel if you didn't have some interest in spirituality. And let's just cut to the chase. Most of it's bullshit, and it's commercial, and it's commercial. It's a product. So thank you, Neo-Advaita, for enlightening us about the nature of spirituality in the 21st century. Marion Rose wrote, you can't go wrong with Krishna and the Gita. So the Gita, you can read. In terms of Krishna, you can just sing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You don't have to believe in Krishna to taste the bliss that comes from that beautiful song or any real bhajan. I didn't know who Krishna was when I first started singing that song, and then I just get so happy. And yeah. Thank you all so much for joining in. There's 6 of us live right now. If you want to recover from Neo-Advaita, you can go read the Gita and sing love songs to God. That'll really help. It helped me, and it is continuing to help me. And I think I'm just going to sing some more. I really love honoring the feminine face of God. So this is a mantra I'm exploring. Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Sita Rama, Sita Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Hare, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radha Radha. Yes, so the Bhagavad Gita, Upadesha Saram by Ramana Maharshi, and the jewel crescent of discernment by Adi Shankara. Miriam wrote, keep on recovering and singing. The thing is, the only way to recover from an addiction is to not do it. So a big part of recovering from fake non-duality is just not listening to fake non-dual teachers, not doing self-inquiry before you're ready for it, and not doing dissociative practices, dissociative that disconnect you from yourself, from your relative self, the body, and the world. Singing is a great one. It's a great practice, a great bhakti yoga practice. Wow, there's 7 of us. So it's my hope to maybe start doing regular gatherings at some point. Not quite figured out a day and time yet, though there's 7 of us right now. So maybe maybe this is a good time slot. Yeah, the Upanishads are great. Thanks, Marion. Marion knows her stuff. What are you doing on do you have a YouTube channel, Marion? Hmm. So, Chinta Beta Abeta, Vedanta, another school of Vedanta, says the relationship between God is simultaneous, oneness, yet differentiation that's inconceivable, that is inconceivable to the mind, that the relationship between God and the relationship between little old me or little old you, the relationship is oneness, yet differentiation in a way that's completely inconceivable. And that's the type of Vedanta that I find myself really drawn to, is the one yet distinct. Or as U2, the rock band U2 said in one of their songs, we're one, but we're not the same. And then in that, one of the ways it's described is what I am at my core is exactly the same as God, the Supreme, except the Supreme is infinite and I'm not. Like I'm one drop. This is Achinta Beta Abeta's understanding of Vedanta. I'm one drop and God is the ocean. I'm a part of it. I'm a part of the ocean, but I am not the ocean. I'm at one with it. But then it says, ultimately, this is beyond the mind. And I find that much more satisfying. Oh, wow. I'm going to probably mispronounce your name. Class Jehazj said that he's new and that this is helpful. Really glad to hear it. Okay, dear ones, let's close with a little meditation. Ramana Maharshi said the grace is all around us, always. So let's open and receive the grace. As I meditate, what I'm realizing is, with a pure guru, there's no need to study scripture. But without a pure guru, scripture is your protection. And in a world of false gurus, scripture is your real protection. And not just from them, but also from ego. But yeah, if Ramana Maharshi was here, we wouldn't have to study the Gita. We could just sit at his feet and, he would be like, you do japa, you inquire to the next person. He would just say nothing. And just his presence and meditating on him would be enough. But that's not the situation I find myself in. So some study is required. Take care, dear ones. Thank you so much. And yes, qualified non-duality. Beautiful, Marion. We're all little waves in the great sea. Take care. Much love. We are one.